Our next guest is in the business of getting kids ready for college football. Before he was a trainer, he caught 80 passes for 981 yards and 3 touchdowns at BYU between 2011 and 2014. Our pleasure to welcome Ross Apo to the Wise Guys. Hey, Ross, you just missed Jimmer, and your careers just missed each other, didn't they? When you arrived, he was done, wasn't he, at BYU?
I think we had a couple of years there, maybe 1 year there together.
2011, maybe?
From 10 through 14.
10 through 14.
So do you remember Jimmermania? Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It was huge on campus. I remember seeing Jimmer a few times in the SAB, and I swear he had some bodyguards around him at the time. I think we only seen him like a few times in the SAB, but we would run into each other sometimes. So it was pretty crazy at the time. I think like social media had just kind of got going. But yeah, it blew up, and it was awesome time.
Look, you share that
to be at BYU.
You share the headlines with Jimmer on the Wise Guys tonight.
That's
so
right.
You guys are equals.
Oh yeah, that's
on
awesome.
The Wise Guys.
When I seen you put the post up, I was like, oh, that's awesome. Hopefully, I get to say hi to him. But sounds like he was on and he was done.
Yeah, he just came barely though. But like you missed him by 30 seconds. So.
Oh man, that's a bummer. I'll have to catch him next time.
Richard's on our live stream from Panama. So tonight we got Singapore and Panama and folks all around the world ready to listen to Ross, what you have to say. And when you watch Puka Akua doing what he's doing as a rookie in the NFL, as a guy who gets players ready to chase their dreams, what do you think of Puka's season?
Man, it's unreal. Like every time you think, okay, he broke this record, he breaks another one. And it's just like, we see things like this happen, and you just think like, I don't know if there's any more that he could do. And we talked, I think we had spoke when the football team was like halfway through the season. And I think at that time, Puka just was just getting a whole bunch of catches. He broke a couple records, and then like a few weeks later, he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Yeah. And then now all of a sudden he's like passing 1,000 yards receiving, and I'm just like, what else can this guy do? And so, I think the Pro Bowl is next. And man, he's just awesome. It's just awesome to see, and then he's just a great guy off of the field. Super happy for him and all the success he's been getting.
But when you watched him here, Ross, we all knew he was good, and we all said, oh yeah, he's an NFL guy. Like, he's going to play in the NFL. But I don't know that any of us thought, oh, he's going to be one of the elite receivers in the NFL and probably in the Pro Bowl as a rookie. I mean, did you see that in him? What did you see from his college game that made you think that perhaps he could be what he is right now in the NFL?
Yeah, from his college game. I mean, when they need to score, for example, like Boise State, what do you do? Just throw the ball up and let your playmaker go make a play. I kind of seen him like balling out in the NFL, but as far as like Pro Bowl, I just wasn't sure because, there's other guys on that team that are pretty good, and not to take anything away from Puka, but it's like rookies don't get the responsibility of motioning into a crack block or playing slot receiver, then going to outside receiver, and then coming in motion and getting a jet sweep as a rookie. That's just a lot to put on a guy. And for Puka to go in there and be able to do these things like week one, that says a lot. And I got to work a lot with him, like just one-on-one. So I spent a lot of time with Puka, probably more time with him than anybody else that I've trained through my program. And there's a lot of years that we worked together, and I could honestly say like there's stuff that I've seen Puka do in training that I'm just like, this is unreal. Like I played with Cody, right? He's one of the best one of the best receivers in BYU history. And I'm just like, I just never seen anybody do anything like this. He just catches everything. He adjusts to the ball really well. His instincts are just crazy. He knows where people are at before they even get there. And it's just stuff like that. It's just like hard to guard. And it's fun to watch.
Spencer Linton was down in L.A. With Puka yesterday and had Puka on BYU Sports Nation earlier today, and you can go there and watch that interview. Same kid-like attitude of just happy to be where he's at and doing what he's doing. Ross, you're on the front lines when it comes to kids getting ready for college. What's impacting the process more? NIL, where kids can get paid, or the transfer portal where they can jump schools whenever they want if they don't get what they want right away?
I would say the transfer portal. NIL is like for certain people on a team. You have to be a certain guy. And I don't want to be a downer, but if you think you're going to get an NIL, that's huge. Unless you're a quarterback or, you're bringing something extra to the table, you're probably not. And so, guys that think they deserve something and they hit the portal and nothing really comes of it, it's just like, it's you have to be a guy, right? And so I would say the transfer portal is huge. As I've talked to coaches and I've asked them like, hey, I have this 2024 high school kid. No, we're looking for somebody in the portal. Who do you have in the portal that's ready to go? And I think that's what the portal has to offer is guys that are developed. You don't have to put them through weights for a whole year. You don't have to redshirt them. These guys are just like ready to go. And I've seen coaches kind of go for those guys more so than the high school guys. I kind of feel bad for a lot of high school kids because, the portal's kind of taken over. So I would say the portal more so than NIL.
And you didn't have to deal with that when you were coming out. I didn't have to when I was coming out of high school. Your company is called Mile Wide Receiver, MILE Wide Receiver, based in Eagle Mountain, Utah. You work with receivers, running backs, and tight ends. What advice do you give to these kids when they're considering a program? Now, it's so different than what it was for you or for me when we were coming out. And so what do you talk to them about, and how do you help them prepare? And then what do you tell them when they're considering where they're going to go?
So people they're like, why don't you tell this guy to go here or go there? And I'm like, that's not my job, right? My job is to give these guys good advice. And so I just wanted to say that to clear it up because people think I send guys to colleges, and I don't. I help them, make a choice. I help them with the skill set. The biggest thing I tell guys is the development. Where can you go where your skill set is not only going to be, displayed at the full extent, but where are you going to go where are you going to go where coaches are going to develop you, where the program's going to develop you, where it's going to take what you do to the next level. And then, once they find, the several schools they feel like they fit in, okay, now we can say, what do you want to do? What do you want to do after football? What do you want to major in? Stuff like that. Obviously, if you're a wide receiver, which is what I deal with, tight ends, who's the quarterback that's coming in. And so the number one thing for me is like, where can you go to find that development? Because that's going to be what leads you to the NIL. That's what's going to lead you to the NFL, is, your development at the program.
I saw you take some heat on social media for sending some player to...
Wait, not sending, because he just told you he doesn't send them.
But this was the misnomer in social media that you sent them, I think, to the Utes or something about that. It's like, well, how could you betray your BYU roots by sending a kid? Well, you're in the business of being in business, and this is your business.
Yeah. I have guys from all over the place, and it just so happened that the tight end and I know which post you're talking about, which is why I said that.
Yeah.
The tight end that I had, he was at UCLA. He was one of the top recruits coming out of Utah, American Fork. One of the best tight ends to come out of this state, I think. Yeah. He decided he wanted to do something different. Ended up coming here. So, I just congratulated him, said I'm excited to watch him play at the U. And I think it was just taken a little bit differently. And then there's a couple other guys at the U that I'm helping that are in the portal currently. Yeah. That I'm helping them find a place.
Hey, sometimes BYU fans are a little sensitive, but they all are, no matter what team you're cheering for.
And Ross is a little bit like me. Like, you didn't grow up with a rivalry. You grew up down in Texas, and like you didn't know anything about this. And when you get here, there's lots of guys that train together in the summer at different places, like at Ross's place or wherever it is, and they get along with one another. and the fans want to kill each other, and the players are actually like respectful of one another.
Work out together, right? It's an interesting dynamic, isn't it, Ross?
Right. Yeah. I mean, the guys, they work out together. And then it's like they see the fans going back and forth. And then, a Utah guy might have to tell us the fans, like, hey, you guys just relax. He's a good guy. It's like the players on one level, the fans are just on a whole different level. It's pretty entertaining to watch.
I remember when Britton was playing up at the U, now with the Eagles, and playing. Britton would come down, and he was playing on a softball team down here in the summer with my son Gavin and with Danny Sorensen, with all these BYU guys. And people are like, what? Why are you letting that Ute on your softball team? And they're like, because he's been our friend forever. Like,
he's really good. It's just crazy.
Former BYU receiver Ross Apo on the Wise Guys, live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and ysguys.com all around the world tonight. The transfer portal is open until January 2nd, and it's going to open again April 16th through April 30th. So far, BYU's receiving core has remained intact. Chase Roberts, Cody Epps, Parker Kingston, Darius Lassiter, Keelan Marion, all expected back. How do you feel about this group?
I think as the season went on, I know as the season went on, they just kept getting better and better. And it's just like when you bring in new guys, and we've seen this more so with like the offensive line, right? When you're replacing guys and you're bringing, new guys in and quarterbacks and receivers, it's like, it takes a while for these guys to get on the same page. It might take a few games for these guys to get on the same page. And I think a lot of people forget the chemistry part that goes into it. And it's like, you can have all of the talent, but if there's no chemistry, like the talent really doesn't matter because you're just not on the same page where, like Max Holland, Dennis Pitta, Max could just throw the ball up in the air and, have trust that Dennis was going to show up in the spot. And it's like things like that. And so I think the receivers going into this next season, they're just going to get better. They're just going to get better. I think the sooner, BYU decides on a QB or finds one, wherever they are in the process, those guys just need to start getting to work. But as far as the receivers being together, man, that's the best thing that they can have this offseason.
To that really solid group, they're adding former 4-star receiver Cody Hagan, and then Dominique McKenzie back from Church Missions. I know you're familiar with both of those guys. What do you expect from those guys? Of course, Hagan played at Corner Canyon, was a big star there, and then McKenzie out of Pineview. His brother was with the team this last year. Yeah. One of the fastest players in the history of the state of Utah, going to come join that receiving corps. What do you expect from those two as they join the program?
Speed. Yeah. More, the speed that's needed. I think, those two guys coming in, they're going to be able to push the pace, right, for the older guys and even some of the younger guys that are on the team. And I think, guys that come in that are fast and they're, Cody's pretty polished. Guys that come in and they're polished, it only makes, not only the team better, but especially like the core. The wide receiver core better, because now people got to figure out like what can I do to not like overshadow his speed, but what can I do with myself to show that I have as much value as a guy that's, I think he was running like a 10.500, something crazy.
Yeah, both those guys run 10.5. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's just like what can I do to kind of put myself on that level, even though I don't have the speed and the competitive greatness in the room is just gonna rise with guys that like Cody.
We asked Marcus, I was doing a pregame interview with him for game day during the season, Marcus McKenzie, that if the last slice of pizza was at the goal line and he and Dominique were 100 yards away, who would get that slice of pizza?
Yeah.
He thought he would. When talking to his dad wasn't quite sure.
Well, his dad said if it was 40 yards away, Dominique was like one of the fastest people, period, anywhere, in 40, and that Marcus might stretch out and get top end and get the 100, but it would be really, really close. That's a nice argument when you got two guys that fast, right?
Right. or it would depend on the pizza, what type of pizza it was. And then now you have different speeds when it comes to that.
Oh, yeah. Now you just raised the bar right there. Former Cougar Ross Apo on the Wise Guys tonight. Back in 2009, he decommitted from Texas.
That's right.
To sign with BYU. Next fall, Texas is going to kick off in the SEC, and BYU is going to begin its second season in the Big 12. And then you got UCLA and USC, Washington, and Oregon. They're going to be over in the Big 10, which disintegrated the Pac-12. Is all this movement going to make college football stronger or weaker?
Oh man, that's a good question. I feel like the SEC is just going to be the SEC, regardless. It's hard for me to say. It sucks to see the Pac-12 kind of dissolve. But as long as they just keep the strength and the competition strong in each conference, I don't really see an issue. It's sad to see Texas, leave. But I think this shakeup here will kind of challenge teams. And bring out a new competitiveness. So it's hard to say if it's going to make it better or worse. I'm just always excited for football, regardless who's playing. To be honest.
Well, one thing we all can get excited about is the fact that this whole shakeup brings Utah and BYU back together on an annual basis as conference foes. What's your thought on that?
Oh, that's awesome. That's a game. That we stay up the night before, we wake up early for, whatever you want to say. That's an exciting game. I've been waiting for it. We've had how many years off? When was the last year?
Well, let's see. The last conference year would have been 13 years ago.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
The last game was 2 years ago when BYU beat them here.
Right.
But it has been like 6 or 7. It hasn't been an every year thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm excited because like I said, we see the fans go back and forth, not so much like the players, but the fans, and it's like, why don't we just settle it? We're gonna play this year, so now they get to have their bragging rights after every year.
Oh yeah, and that's something.
Yes, it is.
I think it's going to be great. It's going to liven up Thanksgiving like it used to be, that we've forgotten about.
And as Ross and I pointed out, it's intense on the field because you want to beat your friends, but it's really intense in the stands. That's where the real intensity comes.
Oh, definitely. I'm excited for it. I'm definitely excited.
Ross, what you're about to participate in is in one of the Wise Guys traditions that we do with all our guests. It's called 5 Questions. This one's called 5 Questions for Ross. Blaine will ask him. We don't anticipate a lot of deep thought on this.
No, whatever pops in your head, you say.
Rapid fire responses. You ready?
Okay.
And this very important stuff, like starting with number 1.
He seems somewhat hesitant.
He seems like he's nervous about this.
Sure what we're getting into.
But everybody's
I'm good to go.
Everybody's had to do it. Like Jimmer, the first time Jimmer came on, everybody had to do it. Governor Herbert had to do it.
I'm good. I'm always relaxed.
Danny Ainge was thinking about his answers.
Yeah.
We're like, dude, this
We're
is only a 2-hour show.
Come on, let's go.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go. Your favorite sports movie?
Remember the Titans.
Okay, I think that's our most popular one.
It's one of the great football movies.
Yes, it is.
It just is.
And I'm with you. That's my favorite as well. So, number 2, your favorite singer or band? It's hard because I know there's
like some Brian McKnight.
Brian McKnight, like back at 1, Brian McKnight?
Yep, definitely.
Man, he went old school. I had him pegged as a Drake guy.
No, he's going Brian McKnight.
But Brian,
I had a few old school names.
But Brian McKnight is old school. I'm very impressed with that one. Way to go.
Of the I don't know how many hundreds of interviews, this is the first Brian McKnight. So you're breaking new ground here on the show.
Nice.
Yeah, unforgettable that we should be together. I have to sing every week on the show, but that's it. Okay, your favorite breakfast cereal. This is important.
Honey Bunches of Oats.
Okay.
Nice. That's we've had that maybe once or twice before. Dave's is Captain Crunch, by the way.
It shouldn't shock you.
Just straight Captain Crunch, not even with the Crunch Berries. So mine's Cinnamon Life, but I can respect Honey Bunches of Oats. Your favorite receiver, any level?
Randy Moss.
Randy Moss.
Let me
got
tell
mossed.
you about Randy Moss. Remember that year he lit up the Cowboys when he was the Vikings on Thanksgiving?
He mossed
Of course.
multiple people. In
He
that
was
game.
on my fantasy team that day. It was one of the greatest days in the history of the McCann Fantasy Football League. I think he had like 70 points because Dallas couldn't guard him. And who was it? Randall Cunningham just back up and just chuck it as far as he could.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, okay, your favorite BYU memory, and I'm going to give it. It doesn't have to be a football memory. Like any memory you had at BYU, football or not, we want to know what it is.
Man, I would probably say, meeting my wife there was awesome. Out of all the football stuff and school.
Ross, how did that go down?
Yeah, tell us about that.
So at the time, O'Neal Chambers, he was a receiver there from Florida, and then Kyle Van Noy was he was my other roommate. O'Neal took us to go swimming, and my wife was there, and a couple other soccer girls were there, and that's when we first met. And ever since then we just
Did she have you at hello?
Yeah,
Did she have you at hello?
Did Jessica? Did she buy in right away?
Or did you have her at hello?
As soon as we walked into the gate, as soon as I seen her at the gate, she had me. I was like, that's a done deal. She's tall. She was an All-American, and I was just like, oh yeah, this is a done deal.
I love that.
Did you have to work at it?
How much did you like? Was it a done deal for her, or did it take a little? Like you had to sell her a little bit.
Oh man, it took forever. I didn't know if she would ever fall for me, but I just stayed consistent at it. Same thing I tell the guys, right? You want something, stay consistent.
Stay after it, stay consistent.
That's words to live
You
by.
put the work in, right?
Put the work in.
Yeah, definitely had to put the work in.
How long did you date before you convinced her that you should get married?
Oh man, we dated. We almost dated for like a year and a half, maybe. Yeah, we dated for a while. Because she was still playing soccer, I was still playing football, and so it would have been a little, difficult to get married, through it all. But we dated for a while. Now we have 2 girls.
That's awesome.
I should know this. Where's she from? I forgot where she's from, Ross.
From Sandy.
So she's from
went to
Sandy.
Brighton.
That's where at BYU is where a girl from Sandy can meet a boy from Texas, and they can live happily ever after, right?
Oh man, I never thought, but yeah, you're on point with that.
Yep.
How'd the engagement go down? What'd you do?
So I just told her I was going back home. And I actually didn't. Good thing they didn't have like Find My Friends on the iPhone yet, or else she would have seen that I wasn't on an airplane. And then I just told her family, her best friends, to meet outside of a restaurant. And so, they all went out to eat, and then I just came around the corner. It wasn't anything too exciting at the time. Now, there's all these videos of cool things going on. Mine wasn't that cool, but it got the job done.
Good.
Well, we all outkicked our coverage, and we all, because we came to Utah to BYU.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking about Kyle Van Noy. Like he's so far over his head with Marissa, and if he wasn't here, he would have never found her.
That's true.
Right. Kyle knows this. Kyle knows that Marissa's so far over his head. I'm surprised his nose doesn't bleed every day. He's so far over his head with Marissa. And frankly, we are too, Ross. So there you go.
We had Kyle on the show. We told him that too, and he didn't.
He didn't deny it.
He knows this is it. Hey, let's finish with a bonus question. So, what's Christmas time like around the Apo residence with your wife? Now, a couple of kids. What do you like most about this time of year?
Oh man, watching my daughters open their gifts is like there's nothing like it, and it's like when you try to explain that to somebody that doesn't have kids, it's just hard to explain. But just watching them be grateful of the things they're getting, especially things I didn't get growing up or things I didn't have. Yeah. Just watching them to be able to get those things, and then obviously I take time off. I make my own schedule, so I make sure and take a good amount of time off to spend with the family. That time is just irreplaceable.
That's awesome.
Ross, where can people go to get more information on how to get hooked up with training with your company?
They could just go to rossapo.com, fill out one of the what do I call it? Not a questionnaire.
Is it like a profile application profile? Kind of thing?
Yeah, like a profile application. That's what you would call it. Yeah, they can go on there, fill it out. It'll go to my email, and then I just reach back out to them, or through social media, through my Twitter,
Okay.
At Ross Apo _easy.
Hey, we're proud of you. Have a Merry Christmas, and we'll get you back on the show before we kick off in August. How's that?
Oh, I'm excited for that, definitely. And you guys have Merry Christmas as well. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Ross. Great to talk to you, brother.
Yeah.
Hey, and say hi to Jessica for us.
For sure, we'll do. Thank you.
See you, man. Ross Apo. He raises, trains. You wanna go to college and you got skills. Here's a guy. Will Snowden's another guy that's been on the show. These are guys that can help you get to the next level.
And they're doing a lot of good things to help kids, and they pay attention. I know Ross does this. You mentioned Will does this. They pay a lot of attention to helping these kids be well-rounded too. So it's not just about, they coach them up on, here's the things you need to be doing off the field, and and this is the mentality you need to have, and this is what you need to do in school. And so they're providing these kids with a focus on all the right things to help them progress and go live their dream and go play college football.